Welcome to Talk About Topeka Live, coming to you from the Topeka Performing Arts Center. I'm your host, Chris Schultz, on this endeavor into Food, Flair, and Fun. We're going to be talking about the Huff and Puff Balloon Rally, thanks to our friends at the Break Room bringing this content to you. I want to thank you so much for being here. We've got Connie Goodnow. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
And right, I'm going to send you an air fist bump over there to Darrin Harrison.
All right.
Now, you guys have been with the Huff and Puff Balloon Rally for quite some time, right?
Right.
A long time.
And let's get the elevator speech about what the Huff. I know everybody needs to know what this is. You really have to be living under a rock if you don't know what it is. But just for those living under the rock, let's talk about a little bit about the elevator speech about what the Huff and Puff Balloon Rally is.
Great, be glad to. The Huff and Puff was actually started when Topeka was celebrating the bicentennial back in 1976. And we had 18 balloons that came out and actually inflated on the Capitol grounds of Topeka downtown. And that's where we started, and we've been going ever since that time, continually putting on that show for the
You
city
couldn't have
of
been
Topeka.
involved with that because you would have been about 5 years old at that time.
Thank you
right?
so much. We'll have to hug later.
All right. Now, Darrin, you're a vendor coordinator for it. You've been involved with for quite some time as well, right?
Yeah, my wife and I have been involved with the club for 20 years now. So we have kind of filled in all the different roles for the most part. We've been vendor coordinator, rally coordinator. I'm a pilot at the event. We've been crew. We got involved first as crew 20 years ago, and did it once and said, "Hey, this is fun. Let's come back the next year and crew again." And then we decided we got to do this more than just once a year. So we got involved with the local club and have just kind of gone
That must
since
be a
then.
bug that somebody, when they get into it and do it for the first time, like they come back, right?
Oh, yes.
Almost
It's kind of
always,
cool,
yeah.
right? So you're able to build that community every year. And one of the big things, you've been traditionally out at Lake Shawnee. This year we want to make sure everybody knows that we have a new location coming up for the event. And let's
Yes.
talk a little bit about that and that change.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Who's taking
it? As Connie said, we started it at the Capitol grounds. We've been at about 8 or 9 different places over the years, but really for the last 20, 21 years, we've been at Shawnee Lake. It's been a great home for us, but we've grown from about 5,000 people attending it to 15 to 18,000 people attending it. And the trees have gotten bigger, and they put in some trails, and so we have less space to work with a lot bigger crowd, and we've really just outgrown that space. Mount Hope Cemetery has graciously invited us actually last year and said, "Hey, if you're looking for different places to be, we think we've got 80 acres of land here that would work great for you." And we said, "Well, we'll think about it." And this year we thought about it some more and ended up, we're going to try it there and hope it all goes well this year and that we'll find a home for several years to come.
They have a lot of land out there. So how's that logistically going to work, bringing a bunch of people like that together?
They're opening up access for us off of Fairlawn and Huntoon. So there'll be 2 new gates in through the backside into the 80 acres of field grass.
Okay.
They'll be actually putting in some temporary fencing to block off the cemetery from the undeveloped ground. So you won't have access through their traditional gates. You won't be able to go in through the cemetery gates and get into the event. You'll have to come in off of the Huntoon or the Fairlawn side.
Good to know. Good to know. Absolutely.
And as always, it'll be free parking, free event. So come out, have fun, bring the family.
And keep your
There'll
eyes to the
be
skies.
vendors and activities and all sorts of things going on.
Yeah.
And as he said, come out, bring the families. We want to make sure that people don't bring their pets and that they don't bring their drones. We're licensed pilots. So when we fly the balloons, we are under the FAA regulations. And there are regulations about flying the drones over large crowds and airfields. And actually the only people that can fly are being coordinated through the 2 towers in Topeka at the airports. And so we have to be in contact with them ourselves.
That's it. You don't even think about that as far as what kind of contact with traditional for pilots of balloons. What is that different? What is that? You can't just pop in a balloon. You still have to get clearance and all that, right?
You You do and you don't. We have a very good relationship with the tower people in Topeka, and have had the opportunity. When we go out to fly, we know what direction the winds are going to take us. So we also know whether we're going to be flying into the airspace for one of the airports. So we contacted the towers, let them know that we're out there, and then they have graciously given us permission most of the time to be in their airspace.
Very interesting. And I want to ask, because, you know, hot air balloons are such a, now I have a sister and she's full of hot air, but I had to do it. Anyway, she's right over there. Anyway.
Yeah, right.
Hot air balloons are such a niche kind of thing. How'd you get into it? Where did that come from? Was it lineage? Did your family do it, or how'd you get the bug?
It is a very, very family-oriented sport that we have, and we encourage people to come out and bring their families. I actually started as a crew member, as Darrin did, and that's actually how a lot of balloonists start. Then you kind of morph into, it gets under your skin, and you're there, you're hooked.
Next thing you know, you have a hot air
You
balloon.
change from crew to crew chief to pilot and parent of pilots. And,
Parents of pilots. We have generations in the ballooning community.
Do you have like dance moms for balloons? Like,
We haven't had that yet. But, you know,
maybe we'll have to try that.
Who knows?
That sounds like fun.
I think we're on to a new TV show here. That could be fun.
And we had an opportunity to listen to one of your Talk About Topeka segments where Frank Meadows was on that segment, and his sister, Kay Meadows, was one of our crew members years ago. And
Very small world.
we're sorry to have lost Kay, but that's, again, one of those opportunities for family and friends to come out and play with us.
Excellent. Well, tell us about this year's event. When's it going to be held? It's going to be at Mount Hope Cemetery.
It will be. It's always the weekend after Labor Day.
Okay.
So I think that's the 6th through the 8th this year, September.
Perfect.
Or 7th?
7th, 8th, and 9th.
7th, 8th, 9th, okay.
There we go.
But it's Friday evening. There'll be a flight and a glow Friday evening starting around 6. There'll be a flight Saturday morning and Sunday morning, both at around 7 a.m. And then again, Saturday evening, there'll be another flight around 6 o'clock and a glow starting around 7:30. The glows where once it gets dark, we light the balloons up and stay on the field and kind of light the field up for everyone to see what the balloons look like.
Too much fun. It's going to be a great time for the Huff and Puff Hot Air Balloon Rally. Check it out. Their website is huff-in-puff.org. Check that out, and of course, like them on Facebook. It's going to be a great event. It always is, and I know I'm looking forward to it. So if you can't make it out there, you'll definitely know that it's here, because you just keep your eye to the sky. You'll see all the balloons flying all over town.
We certainly hope
It's gonna be
so.
a great time. Absolutely. Well, I want to thank Connie and Darrin. Thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck with everything going on with the Hot Air Balloon Rally from the Huff and Puff this year. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
you.
You bet. Of course, this segment was brought to you by The Break Room in downtown Topeka. From comedy shows to special events and private parties, The Break Room is Topeka's best place to gather and make memories with friends.